A little time, a lonely path, an uphill climb. Success or failure will not alter it. And do you feel scared? I do, but I won't stop and falter. And if they throw it all away, things can only get better.
Good evening. 8:14 p.m. Saturday, May 9th, 2026. Mark Kulak, KLACZ, Housatonic Live, Snoozatonic Live, a show that can put you to sleep because you will be just overwhelmed with the amount of information that you just haven't heard anywhere else. You know, there's so much information. I can listen to my own show and put myself to sleep with the amount of stuff that I can actually miss in articles that I review in the show. It is definitely taxing, but if nothing else, maybe a few of those pieces of information will seep in while you recover from the stress of life during a good night's sleep. Most people can't even give you that. They just make you upset, and you'll wind up being up all night, agitated, being mad at things which aren't even true. Boy, that sounds far worse to me. So if this is a topic that we're covering tonight that you don't like, just give it a thumbs down right now. Thumb it down and run away. You don't need to listen to it, because I will be shocked if I don't get the highest thumbs down ratio in this video of any video I ever make. It will be weird. The only way it could be justified is if many of the analytics manipulators are actually told to just don't watch it, even if it's something to give it a thumbs down. Just don't do anything. So that's a possibility. So I do expect this to be a very, very unwelcome and unliked video for many people here. And I will be reading two articles. One article is from Mondoweiss, Shifting the Narrative Towards Liberation at 20, I believe. This might even be Barry Weiss. I don't know. This is definitely a liberal publication. But this is from 2024, Comrades and Ethno-Nationalism, Why the Israeli Lobby is Supporting U.S. Politicians Friendly to India's Far Right, Nation of India's Far Right. And the far right is India is considered to be somewhat of a Hindu nationalist group. Now, to me, I don't know what right is. Some people think it's a racial thing or a religious thing, or it's a small government thing. I'm not a political scientist. But, you know, I've heard the right associated with several things. I also know that many people who proudly say that they are really, really right are usually just fakes and pretending to be something so that the people who are skeptical of whatever a right-wing politician or a person is have their worst fears reinforced by bumping into stereotypes online or possibly in person. So this is one article. Subtitle is Zionism and Hindutva Share Ideological Roots, and increasingly followers of both are finding common ground in propping up the same American politicians. The other one, this is really people are gonna love this one. The Myth of the Jewish Lobby. And this was from Frontline at thehindu.com. And this is from India, talking about it is their belief that the way the Jewish lobby works in the United States is a myth. And this is a 2003 article from October. Actually, this is October 2003. There's a lot of things about the AIPAC lobby that just don't make any sense to me. First, there's the whole, why is the both political sides thing. There's the economy of Israel. There's the population of Israel. There's the fact that a lot of American Jews don't care. So a lot of American Christians never really cared. Like, yeah, you like to go for a visit maybe once, but so it feels as though there's something being pushed upon us. The economic opportunity, I don't really understand it. Israel's always getting pissed off if countries don't even border it. There's a lot of things that just don't make sense. The military aspect, okay, there's a bunch of wars. I understand maybe military contractors want to sell more equipment. As wrong as that may be, at least I can understand it. It's like, okay, I get it, right? At least I get that one, at least from a business perspective, not moral or ethical, but business-wise anyways. But just a lot of things that just don't make any sense. And my own country is so messed up, I'm not in a position to feel as though we have access to care for a bunch of other countries right now. I would like to think that we could, but the United States right now is not in that position. So there's a lot of things that just don't add up. And the saber rattling right now has never been louder about the Israeli lobby, about how they control people. They control with a budget for $150 million. If you can control the United States of America for $150 million, then if you have access to billions, you are making a mistake by not controlling the United States. It doesn't make, none of it makes any sense. I understand what we're supposed to believe because it's being yelled at me from everywhere, all over the place right now. It's insane right now, and I'm sick of it. But I never wanted to speak about it because I never felt as though I had anything additional to add to it other than that doesn't add up. But now I get it. Over the last couple of years, the kinship between Israel and India is on full display. It's very close. India is the largest purchaser of Israeli military equipment. And when you look at COVID, all of the data that it was a deadly novel virus lab leak came from India. When you look at our health institutes, they're run by people from India right now within the United States of America. DARPA, everyone loves DARPA. Well, no one mentioned it when it was just in their previous administration. It was run by someone from India. Our FBI right now, though he says he's Ugandan, he was born U.S., he has India, married to an Israeli intelligence woman, Kash Patel. You start going down the list, and there's a lot of questions. And another one was the Dr. Robert Malone, who was such a big part of orchestrating and controlling the narrative of COVID-19. All of his biggest allies, even as his business ventures, are in India. He even brags about it with a glowing lion head over his shoulder. Working with Inder Verma, and the clues were always there. Recently, of course, continuing my endearing pursuit, trying to understand the life of Joshua Lederberg and people who were maybe not proteges, but people who worked for him in some ways, Condoleezza Rice, and almost a career focused on building the United States relationship with India, which is fine. That part is fine. But the India nuclear deal, which never gets spoken about anywhere. Nobody mentions the India nuclear deal. And it is way weirder than the Iran nuclear deal. And remember, I don't even believe in nuclear weapons, though I do appreciate a lot of the capabilities that atomic energy and related technologies for energy storage and energy transportation provide. Dick Cheney, he was, until his passing, very much wrapped up in the almost prioritizing the relationship with India above anything else, and no one mentions it. It's out there. These were their priorities. But no one has ever mentioned it. So how can this not get any attention? I realized that what's good for Israel is good for India. And as this article shows, there are, how would you say, left-wing Democrats who will take money from AIPAC if they are supportive of Modi, who's a Hindu nationalist in India. Think about that for a second. They can be very much against whatever Israel is or isn't doing. I don't know what they're doing. How could I possibly know? I can't even get people in my own country to be aware of how many kids in my own country are dying. Well, how could I possibly know what is happening in Gaza right now? I'm not saying that something is or isn't happening there. I don't know. How could I possibly, determine that, though? It's nearly impossible. Even with as much as I know about the drug epidemic in the United States personally and through our own networks, hard, almost impossible to get that word out. But here we are, and there would be people who would say, oh, what Israel's doing is bad. Okay, fine. If everything is on the up and up about what is being claimed, then okay, I get it. And then they will change their minds and take money from AIPAC. And AIPAC, even if people don't like Israel, will give people money if they support Modi. And that right there proves my point. So if Tucker Carlson is right now crying all day, all night with Thomas Massey, they're having a great big pillow crying party with Marjorie Taylor Greene about Israel and AIPAC and Israel and Epstein files and Israel and Epstein and Israel and Epstein and Trump, Israel, AIPAC, and they're in this infinite loop. It's absolutely insane. And I kid you not, there are articles written the other day about how they are so stupid right now that the Israeli military is training dogs to rape Palestinians in prison. And I'm like, first of all, how would you even physically do that? What kind of hormones are you doing to these dogs? And how would a dog know a difference between a Palestinian and a Nigerian and a Lebanese person? They're insane. It's like we in World War II, or was it World War I? They had a story in the United States that was pushed upon the United States public, babies on bayonets, where it was the World War I German military, and they were just marching around Europe, and they were just babies stacked like hotcakes on their bayonets. They drew these cartoons. Maybe a child was killed with a bayonet at one point, or several. But to think that there's just armies with just stacks, like they just went to a marshmallows and chocolate going to the fire, just stacks of babies on their bayonets, is ridiculous. Americans were motivated by it and believed it. We are now being told that it's even worse, that Israel is babies on bayonets, where they then take the babies and eat them so they can live forever and then go on and train dogs to rape prisoners. The babies on bayonet story is way worse right now. Their imagination is the only limit to how insane it is. So, okay, if that's happening, not very good. I think most of you would agree. Not a very good thing. And yeah, my desk height is moved, so I'm like, the camera's all weird, so I just had to do this. But anyways, so this article here, and I will probably mispronounce these names here. This is a 2024 article, May. Since September 2023, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, or AIPAC, has poured $96,000 into the campaign coffers of United States Representative Shri Thenadar, and he's a Democrat from Michigan. It's an odd choice considering that Thenadar, a state legislator in 2021, co-sponsored a Michigan House resolution describing Israel as an apartheid state. After launching his congressional campaign, Thenadar quickly retracted his support as an AIPAC-affiliated super PAC poured millions into backing his primary opponent. By August of 2023, the newly elected Congress member was on an AIPAC-funded trip to Israel to meet with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Immediately thereafter, Thenadar jetted to India to meet Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He had just escorted Modi in June 2023 to address a joint session of Congress in Washington, D.C. That Modi was previously banned from America for his role in a 2002 pogrom against Indian Muslims apparently gave the Michigan representative no pause. In just his first 7 months in office, Thenadar circled the globe to meet both the leader of the world's largest democracy as well as the leader of the only democracy in the Middle East. While his flip-flop on Israel may reflect how politicians, especially those like him, who are accused by Huffington Post of holding malleable political beliefs, react to the power of the Zionist lobby in America, his dual embrace of Netanyahu and Modi reveals another aspect of current geopolitical landscape, the Hindutva lobby. And look, there are 6 million Americans who are Jewish. 6 million out of 300 million. It's 2% of our population. That's it. 2% of the U.S. population. There's 1 billion Hindus in the world, and there's a lot more than that in the United States. And oh, by the way, Indian Americans are by a wide gap the highest earning family in the United States of America. It is ridiculous to think that America is owned by Jews in Israel. It is absurd. It's mathematically impossible. That's not going to stop other people from saying it. But if you want to see the freak out right now, there's this another news piece being circulated right now of 30 Jewish people, all the Jewish names. And of course, Ian Carroll, I'm so sick. Ian so sick Carroll was laughing. Ha ha ha. Oh, all Jewish, go figure. And the names are like joke names. They're like Mick Steinberg, Mick Money, Steamy, Steinberg, Stein, Money Cash, Money Steen. They're like made up names. And Americans are buying it up, or at least they're being told, it's all the Jewish people. Oh, I guess only Jewish people become bakers. And with joke names, most Jews have names that you wouldn't know are Jewish, or whatever that even means. Anyways, the joke is being played on America right now. And the problem is that if Americans start to figure out that it's really not about Israel, the show is over. Things are really going to start opening up. It's not about Israel. It's not really about India either. India is part of a much larger machine which has been around for thousands of years. But Indian people are smart. They can be politically manipulative, just like the British Empire was. Coincidentally, maybe that's something they picked up. And they have vast numbers. They have population. In fact, I'm starting to wonder as I go on, why is it that Henry Kissinger, who was so fond of the British crown, pushed a one-child policy on China, but not India? That's how far back this goes, my friends. There would be 300 to 400 million more people today in China if it wasn't for Henry Kissinger pushing one-child policy on China, but not India. The only reason India has more people right now than China is because of the manipulation of the hand of Henry Kissinger and the empire. That's it. So, if there was a long-term plan to use the empire, which could be controlled, to spread and to put itself into political positions of influence, that's exactly what it would do. It would go to the runner-up and say, hey, global warming, a lot of people in your country, you may want to reduce it to one child. Matter of fact, we'll give you some United Nations access if you do this for us, or something like that. That's exactly what it would look like. This is very, 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 very serious stuff that I'm looking at right now. And everyone is all wrapped around the axle. They just want it to be about Israel or not Israel. That's it. It's so stupid. Anyways, I have to continue on here. So over the past year, Sri Thanedar has been repeatedly criticized by Indian diaspora coalitions for his support of the Hindutva lobby's agenda as he pockets donations from Hindutva-aligned PACs, launches a controversial Dharma caucus, and even introduces a Hindu-phobia resolution reminiscent of the recent Anti-Semitism Awareness Act, which defines anti-Zionism as anti-Semitism. Both Zionism and Hindutva, or Hindu nationalism, the ideology pushed by Modi and his Bharatiya Janata Party, or the BJP. And by the way, the BJP party just had a landslide win in India. So India right now is very rapidly becoming very, very Hindu nationalist. So they are related to the same family of fascist movements. Fascism. That's not a word I use very often. That are, quote, seeking to establish ethno-nationalist homelands in which religious minorities have no place or are subjugated. Aparna Gopalan, the news editor at Jewish Currents, explained to Mandawis. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right either. Quote, both movements are devoted to a project of race purity. In the case of Hindutva, this comes as a specific emulation of Nazism. By the way, just to remind you, the swastika is a Hindu, is a Swahili or Hindu symbol. Or Sanskrit, excuse me. It is a Hindu symbol. The swastika is It wasn't taken by the Third Reich because it was a Hindu religion, but it is noteworthy. Now, the shapes of similar to swastikas do appear in other religions as well. Matter of fact, you can find them in North and South America amongst you would consider First Nations from here and there, and in which case I would attribute that to nothing more than there's only so many ways you can draw lines and squares and circles in a particular small area with a chisel. So you're going to notice some symbols repeat for whatever reason. Anyways, so highlighting organic connections between the two movements, Dr. Arthur Zia of the University of Colorado Boulder told Mandaways both are predicted on the, quote, the common enemy being the Muslims, unquote, but notes the interesting thing to watch is how the two ideologies tide over the contradictions they share, especially Hindutva's idealization of Nazi ideology. Beyond their shared ideological roots, they seem to be finding much common ground in propping up the same American politicians. And this is where it gets much worse. Sri Thanedar is a prime example. He is not, however, the only member of Congress benefiting from correlated Zionist Hindutva's support, while again Hindu nationalism, while championing the ethno-nationalist regimes of both India and Israel. Representatives Raja Krishnamurthy, Democrat of Illinois, and Ami Bera, Democrat of California, for example, are also beneficiaries of dual Zionist Hindutva funding. Representative Michael Watts, Republican of Florida, who pulled in $72,000 from AIPAC since October 23 alone, not only invited Modi to address last year's joint session of Congress, but also joined Thanedar on the ensuing trip to meet the Prime Minister in India. Meanwhile, the challengers, two frequent congressional critics of Hindutva, have enjoyed funding from both Zionist and Hindu nationalist elements. Raja Krishnamurthy has raked in $77,000 from AIPAC since 2022, yet criticism of the representative's funding has focused on his massive financing by leaders in American Hindu nationalist family of organizations spawned by the parent organization of the BJP, which is, I'm not even going to say it, it's the RSS paramilitary. In 2022, for instance, Raja Krishnamurthy's Democratic challenger, alluding to the RSS, accused the Congress member of taking money from donors associated with radical extremists persecuting millions of people in India. It gets worse. Krishnamurthy, the ranking member of the United States Select Committee on Strategic Competition between the United States and the Chinese Communist Party, spearheaded the campaign to ban TikTok in the United States on the premises that the social media app is being used by China to disseminate misinformation. Consider this. Consider that. You have someone who seems to be aligned with Hindu nationalism, who was born in India. He is a ranking member of a United States congressional committee paid by U.S. citizens, having power in the United States, saying America should not have access to TikTok. Now, I got kicked off TikTok all the time, so I don't find it to be a very free platform, okay? But if TikTok were to be owned by the Chinese and run and built in China or whatever, okay, that would be a very different product than most of the internet, which is written by people in India. Isn't that odd? So you have someone from India saying Americans shouldn't be able to use Chinese software. Now, to be honest, I wish we were able to trust all of our products. I wouldn't trust my life with any of these things. I'm not saying I'm a TikTok, anti-TikTok, I don't know. But that is one of the most stunning conflict of interests that has ever existed in the entire 250-year history of the United States of America. I swear, I promise. Could you ever find a bigger conflict of interest in the history of the United States? But this has come up before. Let's see. Let me go over to YouTube here. This was 2020. This was a webcast in the United States. The webcast has 5 people. Ambassador Richard Verma, who is, I believe, was born in India, but they say he was born in the United States. Why would 2 people born in India move to Johnstown, Pennsylvania to become school teachers to raise 3 kids? Does that make any sense to anyone? I mean, you really look. You could be people could be running after you with guns. When you come to the U.S., you at least say, let's go to a nice town. Johnstown is a beautiful place, but it's financially very tough. Okay, that doesn't make any sense. Anyways, he's become the ambassador to India for several years. He was in the State Department. He worked for Harry Reid of Nevada, someone that not in any of the Whitney Webb books, for several years. He worked with Robert Malone, the agent of India, in 2000 and 2001, setting up the Windberg Cancer Research Center in Pennsylvania. He provided the legal work. Robert Malone did IT work, according to Robert Malone's own resume. To the far right on top, that is Pramila Jayapal. She was born in India. She is a United States representative in Seattle, in Washington State. You know who used to live in her district? Somebody who's never been photographed, named Snohomish County man. That's right. America got COVID by some guy who came back on a flight from Wuhan, never photographed. We don't know the flight. We don't know his name. He disappeared forever. Her district. Next is Raja Krishnamurthy. Oh, that's right. The Raja Krishnamurthy who's taking money from AIPAC because it supports Modi. Why is the pro-Israeli organization paying Indian people living in the United States to support Modi? It's almost as if it's not really about Israel, folks. Next to him is Ro Khanna. Oh, that's odd. He's the person who's leading the charge on the Epstein investigation. Why? You unaware that 1 million people died of drug overdoses in the United States? Just skipped your mind? You need to focus on the survivors? You want to know what's crazy? Is if every single Epstein survivor died horribly of a drug overdose, he wouldn't give a shit. He wouldn't be talking about them. But they're survivors, which mean they're still alive. Their families get to know them. They get to live their lives. Maybe things are tough. They get to raise their kids. I thought dying was worse than surviving. I don't know. I guess I'm bad with math. Right in the middle is Representative Ami Bera, another name that most people don't know. Oh, that's right. He was the chair of the influenza subcommittee in November of 2019 and ran the hearing with Fauci and Robin Robinson about, the possibility of a brand new deadly novel coronavirus influenza pandemic in the United States of America. Watch it on C-SPAN. I reposted it. He's the chair of that. You got your whole pandemic in one photo. And even worse, it just keeps going round and round circles, right? Raja Krishnamurthy was a friend of, he was a supporter of Barack Obama. Obama was running for a state-level Senate seat in Illinois. Raja Krishnamurthy sat next to an American woman named Piper Stover from Vermont who raised her family in China, but then decided to say, the hell with it, came back to the United States and started doing podcasts about how Chinese people run around in bus stations and rip each other eyeballs out, and because they're just so into the organ harvesting thing. China is just blood everywhere. Oh, my goodness, Chinese people are terrible, says Raja Krishnamurthy of India, who is telling Americans they can't use TikTok. Biggest conflict of interest in the history of the United States. Now, Richard Verma and every single person in this photo is rabidly anti-Trump. I'm not saying I'm pro-Trump, anti-Trump. They go nuts thinking about Trump. They can't stand him. They're all pissed off about this Iran war and everything about America sucks. Look, why would you move to a country that sucks? What? Why? If you're being chased out of your country, if it's poor, people are dying, there's bodies all over the place, would you go somewhere and then after becoming a millionaire, get a political office and say that everybody in the country that took you in is a racist asshole, that they're all awful people, the country should be burned? Why would anybody do that? If God forbid, ever had to leave my homeland and find refuge somewhere else, the last thing I would ever do is get a political office in that country and then turn my back on them and say that country should be burned to the ground because everyone sucks in it. It is the most disrespectful thing I've ever seen anybody do. Anyways, here we are. I don't know what the hell I'm in the middle of right now. But I look at my YouTube feed and my Rumble feed, and I just have people just screaming all day long about Jews in Israel owning the United States of America, which is impossible because there's not enough money there and there's not enough people there. It's just not possible. So if it's not possible, it's either a total lie. And if there's anything to it, what's the spin on it? Oh, that's right. AIPAC has grown dramatically since 9/11. And since 9/11, something happened with the United States-India relationship. You can look at Cheney. You can look at Condoleezza Rice. You can look at the Indian nuclear deal that nobody will ever mention. I don't understand it. And buried within these articles, you will find a lot of other very interesting insights about how about Indian Americans who have come to the United States and aren't on the air all day on podcasts bitching about how Americans suck all the time. Okay, are concerned about the impact of this Hindu nationalist movement on the perception of India. And all of this stuff is happening right now. I don't know how it really breaks down. Certainly looking for the good guy, bad guy thing, whatever they're doing, everyone in that photo, by the way, could be a wonderful person. But what they're doing in the United States is incredibly, incredibly mean-spirited, wrong, and, it's just lying. It's so disrespectful. It is so wrong what they've done to my country. It is so wrong. Anyways, I'm just going to stick it to one article right now. I'm feeling myself getting pretty worked up. I need a little bit more oxygen in this room. So, if someone's going off again about AIPAC, they own everything. Well, okay. If Israel controls everything, then we need to consider that India is the biggest purchaser of Israeli military equipment, and India is Israel's biggest ally and their future. And by the way, if you're a political candidate, you can hate Israel, but you'll still get money from AIPAC if you support India. So, everyone that's claiming to be, hunting down the truth and flipping over the cards and showing the breadcrumbs and revealing the truth and shining the light and darkness to light and blah, blah, blah. If they don't want to say India, and it's not because it's just India, but if you don't want to take the first step in expanding the conversation, you're a disingenuous liar. That's the very first step. Step one. And if you don't want to, just go away. Go away. By the way, hopefully you watched it this far. Give it a thumbs down. You'll be awesome. Ratio it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs down. I want 5,000 thumbs down. Make this the most disliked video on YouTube. Hate it. Share it. Tell your friends to dislike this video. Or not. Boy, I'm so ticked off. I'm just so frustrated. Look up, hey, Kim. Oh, long time no see. If interested, look up Savitri Devi for a historical look at India times the Theosophy Nazi crossover. There is a crossover. It's not a myth. Now, either it's possible that it's overhyped or vastly underhyped. It's not really for me to say. I mean, I don't need to. Whatever they want to do in India, that's their business. All right, their business. Fine. But why are you in the United States? If you don't like it here, leave. I don't get it. Just leave. I mean, why don't a bunch of people move to Iceland or say it's too cold here? It's too cold, and then we should run for office so we can start fires all over the place and make Iceland warm. Actually, Iceland's not really as cold as they say it is. Take your pick. I don't get it. It can be described as no other way as obviously there are interests within the United States that believe, as Dick Cheney pretty well articulated, if the United States wants to be the global leader, it needs to peer with the next big global leader. Cheney said that. I'm paraphrasing a little bit. And he's not entirely wrong. He's not entirely wrong in that. Okay. But at what point of the conversation does having 1 million people die in an opioid epidemic, but we can't talk about it, come into play? Because I don't get that part. I don't know where that factored in, Dick Cheney. And in fact, I'm not sure that was part of the discussion. At the time of 9/11, we had 19,000 people dying a year of a drug overdose. Last year, we're celebrating that it's down because it's down to 70,000. Last year was considered thumbs up because it was only 70,000. It was still 3.5 times as much as it was in the year 2000. That's how bad it is right now. All right, there's something about this hantavirus too that I think ties into this, but that's a whole nother story. Good to see you, Kim. Thank you. Good to see you, Fletch. I'm sorry I'm worked up over this. I don't know. I'm down in the weeds on these articles, and I'm just frustrated that it's not, and I didn't write this. I'm reading someone else's article here. So remember, several people in this article, when you're looking at Krishnamurthy, his associate Piper Stover tried to muck with Jonathan J. Cooey, PhD. Jayanta Bhattacharya from India is running the National Institutes of Health. He's met Jonathan J. Cooey several times. The reality is that Jay's ancestry factors into this a little bit, and God bless him. He's mud-blooded, American, and I think it's almost it's been a real problem. He's the most, and by the way, he's as much Filipino as he is Indian. I think that has had something to do with it. And he was the only person that was speaking out about the coronavirus who had a PhD in any meaningful way, independently, as well. So it was a worst case scenario. So Jayanta Bhattacharya and Robert Malone, again, the other agent of India that keeps coming into play here, have been mucking with our network. So clearly this network matters. It's real. It's very real. I know Ami Bera is another name. I don't know a ton about Ami Bera, but you can do the deep dives on your own. Oh, my goodness. Oh, 2015 and 2016, Bera also co-chaired the House of India Caucus. That role was formerly held by Representative Gary Ackerman. That's odd. You know what? Ackerman, who notably talked about Israel being surrounded by millions of Muslims while millions more lived within India, and described strong India relations as crucial to preserving ancient civilizations, which supposedly share strong democratic beliefs, traditions, and values. Wow. Hey, you know what also started right around the time of 9/11? Suddenly there were stand-up comics doing, talking puppets with terrorists, Muslim terrorists. Very few people did comic skits about Muslim terrorists. Islamophobia wasn't a thing before 9/11. Suddenly, Americans were, I guess, being attacked by people who were, coincidentally, mostly the neighbors around India. Just saying. Most of these countries that the United States have been at war with, they say it's Israel, but most of them don't border Israel. It is what it is. Oh, that's right. You have, what's his name? I don't even want to throw more names out there. Oh, yeah. Multitasking. Good to have you here, Kim. Thanks for hanging in for the long haul. This is going to keep evolving. And, I can barely be the best person that I am. I'm not here to bash other people. I got my own problems. So it's so difficult. I don't want this to turn into a, mad at those people channel. I have to be very difficult here. I have to be very cautious here. It sucks that nobody else has blazed this path yet. That almost the entire fake conservative populist pile of nonsense is out there, unwilling or told not to talk about this. And whoever goes first is going to take a bunch of punches. And yeah, it is tied into 9/11. It's definitely tied into 9/11. I don't fully understand it. But it needs to be unpacked. The thing with Modi, oh my goodness. The flip-flopping of the American diplomats is a big part of this. And I encourage you, just try to keep as much of an open mind as possible. I really don't understand where Democrats or Republicans fall in this. I don't understand where China is being a victim here versus China is part of making it worse. I'm not really sure where the old British government falls in this. I don't know. I have a lot of uncertainties about this. Just try to keep an open mind. There's some things you can complain about very reasonably and safely. Like, look, if you go to a country after supposedly dealing with persecution in your homeland, if you don't like everything about the country that you went to, you just deal with it. Just out of kindness and respect for the hosts that gave you a new home, you and your family a new home. Just it's just common manners, right? But to not just complain, but then to take political positions and then to go on to podcasts and complain about it it's just so wrong. It's so wrong. I shouldn't be able to do it because it's speaking up. Look, every single person in this picture is a multi-millionaire. I'll bet you every person in that picture is wealthier than every single person, or any one person anyways, watching this stream right now. They all, I think Ami Barron was born in the U.S., all born overseas, all rich, all with political power, all with the ability to travel the world. Who's the victim here? I don't think anyone in that photograph had a child die or an adult child die in a drug epidemic and now has a grandchild that will never have a parent. No, matter of fact, nobody in that photo, Rich Verma, actually everyone in that photo is more than willing to use those deaths to say that, well, I guess that just shows what a bad virus the Chinks made. Sorry for the word, but, that's like the old slang in America. But you know what I'm trying to say? It's like, come on. Boy. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. Keep it up. Thank you. Take care. God bless. I'm not going to read the Jewish lobby one. This stuff is bad enough. Mike Waltz. Mike Waltz is now vice chair of the India caucus. What? Is that true? That's a different Waltz. That's the one from Florida. Wow. So the Florida caucus guy, head of the Indian caucus. Wow. But no one will ever mention it. Oh yeah, and then the Palestinian American Rashida Tlaib out of Michigan. To her credit. Wait, what? I have to read that. Are you serious there? Mike Waltz is now vice chair of the India caucus, bankrolled by AIPAC. Of course, because AIPAC is funding people who are supporting the India caucus. Waltz has apparently been paying off the Zionist lobby by maintaining that a ceasefire in Gaza is a disastrous path, describing calls from the International Criminal Court for Netanyahu's arrest as absurd and ridiculous, and even in the past, defending Israel's denial of entry to Palestinian American Representative Rashida Tlaib of Michigan. Meanwhile, Waltz co-sponsor, along with Krishnamurthy, of a bill to fast-track U.S. weapons sales to India. Wow. So the Democrat Party is fast-tracking weapon sales to India. Wow. You want to know? Last thing I'll say here, okay? And I'll do this on the Richard Verma page here. UVWVE, Richard Verma. Regarding weapon sales to India, there is a United States agency that's on par with DARPA and the DTRA called DSCA, Defense Security Cooperation Agency. And it is their responsibility to take money which is earmarked by the federal government for the United States Pentagon to purchase military equipment for foreign nations. I don't know if it should be happening at all, but it is what it is. It exists. The DSCA, Defense Security Cooperative Agency, they are on the same level as DARPA, DTRA, and several other United States military agencies. Now, if you are a United States ambassador to a country, as Richard Verma was, you work very closely with the DSCA to ensure that money that's earmarked for your nation, for the nation that you are the ambassador for on the behalf of the United States, okay, that money is spent appropriately, right products are purchased, it goes to the right places, etc. You have a role as the United States ambassador. And it just so happens that while Richard Verma was the ambassador to India, okay, it just so happens, and here he is, those are Sikhs. Let me find the tweet, all right? It just so happens, and yeah, here he is talking with Shashi Tharoor, Richard Verma is, that the trusted partner was Joe Rixey. Now, I don't know about you. Does Joe Rixey look like anybody that you've ever seen before? Now, this Joe Rixey is kind of tall. He's not short enough to be a successful shoe salesman. But, it's just odd that the head of the Defense Security Cooperative Agency has a last name Rixey, which is a very strong family tree. Because there was a Rixey who was said to be the American patriot saving America on the Kevin McCarran show. He also met with Robert Malone, the agent of India, and a bunch of other very interesting, I think rather unsavory people. So here is Joe Rixey, Rear Admiral Joe Rixey, working with Richard Verma regarding procurement of weapons for India, which are going to be used for who knows what. Probably going to war against China someday. And of course, the United States relationship with the Chinese Communist Party is run by Raja Krishnamurthy, another apparently AIPAC-funded Hindu nationalist in the United States government, telling Americans they can't use TikTok. And I'm going to get a bunch of mails and thumbs down and letters from people saying, you know, Mark, it really is all Israel. You got to stop thinking that it could be anything but Israel. All right. Love you.
Rain down. Yeah. Life. This is dedicated to all my folks, diagnosed with a bad case of that proper upbringing, and never took the time to fall in line or follow or swallow the thoughts of the recognized committees who lurk throughout your city, your hood, your town. No matter which type you're from, the same type of people try to hold you down, just because you tailor-made for bigger and better things. Never missed a chance to move ahead of things. And what does it bring? I tell you, for me, it brought jealousy and back wounds from all the stabbing. Cats posing as my fam just to get the grabbing what's mine. I'm living in times where my daughters are found around kids who can't afford thinking caps, but always found drinking raps and eating on beats, claiming laws of the streets. But who made the laws? Everybody playing rebel with no sign of a cause. I feel the world around me. I found that others bring it down, let's move it down. You got to make up your mind. They want to eat, they want to know if you lie, if you lie. I'm never singing the blues, but finding the clues to maintain. And I've been blessed to reign supreme over nearly every dream I had, and I made it come true. I'm an imperfect man and I'm holding the clue to perfection. It doesn't seem to matter what direction I look, I find people setting traps, trying to find a goal without having any map. Even friends of mine jumped online just to become my adversary. They felt they were entitled to the theory I made. They don't come to chill or behave, and they got toast ready to burn, not learning to live, but they yearning to take what you earn.